Our next speaker is Dr. Ajay Bakshi, who is a seasoned neurosurgeon who transitioned into an AI technology entrepreneur focused on health tech innovations. He co-founded Neurons AI, aiming to address critical healthcare issues via intelligent machines inspired by the human brain. He has held the CEO positions at Max, Manipul, and IHH India, leading 3 large Indian hospital networks. Besides his commercial endeavors, he volunteers at ISPIRT, iSprit, a non-profit tech think tank in Bangalore. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here from India, Indian time. So yes, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you awake for a much longer time. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Homa, for inviting me. And I've learned a lot from the previous discussion. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to add a lot of value, but what I thought I'll do is just talk a little bit about our journey in building AI for healthcare. And as you mentioned, I'm a clinician for many years, and I've worked as a CEO of large hospitals in India as well. For everybody's context, I've worked for a decade in the US as well, and so has my co-founder. So we are very familiar with the US healthcare landscape. And let me just show a couple of slides to talk about, to discuss what I'm going to talk about. Just give me a second. Here you go. So I actually inhabit 2 universes, and that's what I wanted to talk about. One universe is all my doctor friends. We have reunions, and once they hear that I'm building something in AI, they're very curious to understand what's happening in AI. And of course, other universe is my day job, which is I'm the only doctor in my team, and we are a bunch of PhD computer scientists and hardcore data engineers. So I'm very familiar with what's happening on the technology side as well. And the funny thing is that these are 2 very separate universes. There's very little dialogue going on between them. And the technology is super excited, and they keep coming and showing me, hey, this is what an LLM can do. This is what a vector database can do. And I get it. But when I talk to my doctor friends, they're pretty lukewarm about it today. And I want to talk about why that is so, and how we at least are trying to change it, and how the industry as a whole should also think about it. The framework that I found extremely useful is coming from one of the people I'm sure you know, Vinita Agarwal. She was there at the meeting, Homa, where we met. She is my friend, and she's published this on LinkedIn. So I have stolen it from her. It's not mine. But it's incredibly useful, and it also talks to the point about doctors being lukewarm. I'll come to that in a minute. So the idea here is, what can humans do easily, and what is difficult for humans, and what can AI do easily, and what can AI do hard. The funny thing is that a lot of people are focused on this stuff, things that humans struggle to do and AI should be able to do magically, but is not there yet. Things about early, and we heard in one of the early talks, ability to diagnose things, ability to prognose things, ability to give the right treatment protocol. I have deep experience with IBM Watson for oncology. I was one of the first customers of that in one of my CEO roles. And a very interesting insight came from that. Watson was trained on PubMed data, and areas where oncologists needed help was in difficult cases. That's the area where the ground truth is not established. So Watson was not trained on that. So Watson would do wonderful. I know it's an old example and people think that it has changed, but actually it has not, because the ground truth reality remains the same. Where doctors need help in this magic quadrant is where ground truth is also weak, and hence AI really struggles. Now, having said that, the ability to look at 10 million patients' data in an ICU and to be able to predict when somebody is going to get sepsis or when somebody is going to have a readmission is a powerful capability. And I think the field will contribute a lot to improving healthcare outcomes through this magic quadrant. But the key point and the key takeaway for us was doctors and payers have been used to, over the last 4 or 5 decades, to seeing deep evidence about safety and efficacy. There are many people here from the biomedicine space. They truly understand that. They live the life of a clinical trial. right from molecule discovery all the way to phase 3, leading to a FDA approval. That universe is not very familiar to technologists. The idea that, okay, my model is 95% accurate in a testing environment and even in a naive data environment is not something that a doctor really accepts as evidence of safety and efficacy. A doctor has been trained by the Medtronic and the Pfizers and the Mercks of the world to look at deep data, deep analysis of what are the cohorts, what did you control for, what are the possible sources of error, and they expect that sort of evidence. And as of now, most technology products that have been sort of sold to doctors or even proposed to doctors do not have that level of rigorous safety and efficacy evidence. So one of our, so we actually built something for this. We actually built, one of our first thing we built was a mortality prediction tool in dialysis patients. Dialysis patients have a 70% mortality over a 5-year period around the world. It's terrible. It's worse than cancer, actually. And we had access to hundreds of thousands of patients from India. And we built that algorithm out. But guess what? Once you take it to the real world, it starts to fail for all sorts of reasons that are not related to the algorithm. So therefore, the burden of proving safety and efficacy is very high. So we actually regressed from that magic quadrant. Now, the other quadrant that I'll talk about is the bottom left one, which is where a lot of action is, which is where the scribing business is going on, clinical reminders, a lot of financial revenue cycle management stuff, administrative stuff, exciting stuff. AI can definitely add value. But our strategic argument here is that this is a natural place for legacy players to succeed, for an Epic or a Microsoft or an Amazon to come in and conquer this space, because this basically requires deep engineering skills, some AI skills, and most important, integration with your existing system. We have already heard announcements from Epic about their collaborations with say Microsoft. And I really struggle to see how, if Epic comes up with a scribing tool, how anybody else can defeat them. For the simple reason that technology of scribing is not that rocket science. The integration into and removing pain points in doctors and nurses' workflows is where the magic will happen. And that is something that people like Epic and Cerner understand really well. And many other tech companies which are standalone products do not understand that well. And by the way, Epic won't even allow easy integration. They're very good at that game. I mean, talk to any hospital administrator, they'll tell you how challenging it is to get any integration going in with any HR system. And this is not because the tech is difficult. This is because strategically it doesn't make sense for them to allow any integrations to come in easily, because they want to control that space. So that is a space which is going to be dominated by legacy players. So what that leaves us with this unglamorous bottom right quadrant, where we think the biggest value is. And I'll show you some examples of that. And what Vinita calls this is things that require skills from human beings, but they just don't have the time. And one of the very simple, very unglamorous, but very powerful use case here is conversational AI used to for patient education. We have spoken to hundreds of patients, and Vivian was talking about interviewing. I mean, I've lived the life of doctors for 3 decades now. So doctors and nurses in the US spend hours and hours with patients, either to explain a procedure to them, that this, okay, you are now going to have a bypass surgery. This is what it is. This is the anatomy. This is the procedure. This is what will happen to you. These are the statistics about outcomes. The patients have hundreds of questions, and nurses patiently spend 30 to 40 minutes explaining it to that to a patient. But look at it from a nurse's point of view. She has to do this 2 times a day in a 12-hour shift, taking 2 hours of her time, right? And when we showed one of our intelligent agents to the nurse, they said, why can't your agent do this for me? Because this is repetitive, it's the same set of information. And then actually we built a tool on the request of that nurse, and now it's doing very well. And I'll show that tool to you in a minute. The other area where a lot of this exchange of information happens, and it's actually even more pivotal, is at the time of discharge. When a patient is going home, research has shown that if they do not understand and fully internalize the actions they have to take once they go home, they have much higher risk of readmissions, of complications, of just increased cost and even mortality, right? So there is a whole mini industry that exists in the US of trying to reduce readmissions. And a lot of these companies are essentially nursing bureaus, which are taking the patient's data and calling them at home, making sure they don't forget their meds, making sure they have somebody to talk to once they have a side effect or some early warning sign that can be intervened by the right clinical level expertise at the right point of time. So these are just two examples. We have built products for both of these. And I'll go into the tech of that in a second and I'll show you a demo of that. But the key aha from this, from a doctor's point of view, is if you're coming to me here, better bring a Pfizer level phase 3 clinical trial, 20-page manuscript, which I can understand. Don't talk to me about. So first of all, the AI world talks about precision and recall. The doctor world talks about sensitivity and specificity. They're very similar, but not the same. And I have seen AI researchers struggle to talk about sensitivity and specificity. And doctors for sure do not know what precision and recall is. Simple things, right? These are just simple terminologies that are deeply embedded in both these verticals. And it kind of means something similar, but they're not exactly the same. And the doctors switch off. I've seen doctors switch off in meetings. When my co-founder is talking to them about precision and recall, they say, no, explain to me what precision is exactly. Oh, what you're talking about is specificity, and now I understand what you're talking about, right? So there is that burden on the top right quadrant. Now, the other big insight that came to us from the tech point of view is that everybody is trying to use the LLM as a source of intelligence. And actually, Karpathy came up with this framework, and it really resonated with me as a medical student, as a doctor, that an LLM need not be burdened with all the knowledge requirements. Two reasons. One, it serves beautifully as an input-output tool. It can understand what the patient or the doctor is saying. It can convert the output of some AI processing into a language that the patient can understand. By the way, it is multilingual. We can grade up or grade down the quality of English, for example, from a 5th grade to a 10th grade to a college or a PhD grade. And that's very powerful. That was not possible in most other translators so far. But the key innovation here is this whole idea of creating medical knowledge embeddings and converting them into vector databases, which are mathematically searched for once a question is asked. So now instead of doing a text matching search, or even a semantic search, or even a slightly more sophisticated cosine distance search, I'm now doing an embedding search. That is incredibly powerful, because now I can feed the whole textbook of internal medicine into a vector database and then let the doctor ask the question or let the patient ask the question. For patients, we don't use textbooks. For patients, there are a lot of material that is available, fortunately. So for example, US FDA, I don't know if people are aware, US FDA publishes a 30-page label for patients. This is not in technical language. This is meant for patients. It is there on the website of Daily Med for around 150,000 approved drugs. But guess how many patients use it? I would argue less than a few thousand, because it is not something a patient does, that go hunting around in a Daily Med, download an FDA PDF, and then go through it to see, I missed my dose at 8 a.m. in the morning. Now, what is the recommendation for me to take the dose? Should I take it at 3 p.m. or should I skip it? And guess what? The answer is there in those drug labels. The answer is there precisely. And it's a different answer for atorvastatin and a different answer for Plavix. And with vector databases, we are able to bring that information to the patient's fingertips. There and then in the language, they could ask the question in Spanish and get the right answer. So this ability to vectorize knowledge and make it available at the fingertips of patients. How many? 2 minutes? Okay, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, instead of talking, I'm going to show you a 1 minute and 30-second video and then open up for questions. So that'll give you a flavor of what this product does.
Imagine a digital assistant that not only speaks your patient's language, but also understands their health needs intimately. Research has shown that patients who truly understand their conditions and procedures have much better outcomes. Lack of proper knowledge, attitudes, and practices remains one of the most important barriers towards better health, and healthcare professionals struggle to provide appropriate customized knowledge for each patient. Meet Emily, a cutting-edge patient education tool, currently transforming physicians' offices in Los Angeles. Emily, with her ability to support education of multiple procedures in both English and Spanish, offers an unparalleled, interactive educational experience tailored to each patient's specific medical journey.
Procedure usually takes about an hour. You receive anesthesia to keep you comfortable during the procedure. An interventional cardiologist, electrophysiologist, interventional echocardiographer, and an anesthesia specialist work together to perform the procedure. During Watchman device placement, physician makes a small incision in your groin and inserts a catheter through a blood vessel. The effectiveness of the Watchman procedure in preventing blood clots is supported by studies, which have shown it to be as effective as blood-thinning medications in preventing blood clots from forming in the left atrial appendage.
The true brilliance of Emily lies in her effortless integration into daily medical practices. Office staff can easily sign up patients who then receive direct links via SMS and email to access Emily's resources. This hassle-free process ensures that no patient is left behind due to technological complexities. Emily's impact goes beyond mere information dissemination. She empowers patients to take an active role in their healthcare, providing them with the tools and knowledge necessary to make informed decisions. For healthcare professionals, Emily serves as a reliable extension, ensuring consistent, accurate, and personalized patient education. In an environment where time is precious, Emily offers a solution that maximizes patient engagement without overburdening healthcare providers. Her multilingual support addresses a significant need in diverse communities, bridging communication gaps that often hinder patient care. The result is a more informed patient base, improved compliance, and better health outcomes. Emily is not just a digital tool, she's a paradigm shift in patient education. For healthcare professionals seeking to elevate their practice, Emily offers a blend of innovation, efficiency, and effectiveness. Step into the future with Emily. Discover how this innovative tool can revolutionize patient education in your practice and significantly enhance patient outcomes.
So that's it from my side, and this has already taken off surprisingly fast, much faster than what we had expected. And I'll pause here and see if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ajay. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the interesting overview of what you've been doing. Nishant, is there any question?
No questions from the audience. Thank you.
Okay, great. So now we are ending the second session, and we take it's 12:08. Let's take a break until 12:15, and we'll be back with the last session. Thank you.